Let me recognize a gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. Hern, to inquire.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Brady, for hosting this hearing today. I want to thank all of you for being here, the ones that are remote as well. You know, I'm so proud to be surrounded by some incredible women. My wife, who's a business owner, my mother, who raised 5 kids on her own. She's ailing in health now at 78 years old. My single mother-daughter, who has a 5-year-old grandson who is very special. She works in early education childcare. So a lot of great women around me, and I just want to make sure I get that for the record. I've been a small business person for 35 years. Grew up in extraordinary poverty. When I talked about this very issue a little over a year ago on this committee, one of the committee members called me a racist for telling the same story you all are telling. It's not racist. This shouldn't be a theatrics over your stories. There are a lot of struggling people in America. As my colleague said a minute ago, we just have a difference in the delivery of how we get to where we're needing to go. We talk about giving subsidies on child care. What we saw when the child tax credit came out in 2017 is that actually the increase in child care went up enormously, because now then a lot of places knew there were guaranteed payments. It's much like forgiving debt on student debt on colleges. There's no incentive to ever lower the cost again. It doesn't change it. What really changes in America is, I believe this, because it changed my life. I was a first-generation welfare recipient. I'm old enough to remember when my mother used to say to me, "Kevin Ray, can you take this back because food stamps won't pay for it?" I remember that very vividly. And so I had a decision in life, and this is not your plight, but it's my point about the greatest nation in this world that gives us the opportunity to get better. Not every country is like that. In fact, most are not. And the reality is that we have, and this is going to be shocking, my colleague from Texas said this, and I don't know if you believe this or not. It was shocking to me, actually, when I got here, because I served on the Worker and Family Support Committee, subcommittee in this committee my first year here. There are 92 programs, federally backed programs, that we fund every year with $1 trillion of taxpayer dollars. Now, you wouldn't believe that, I'm sure. I didn't believe it either until I got here. 92, and we're wanting to add another one. I would argue that we should get the programs we already have passed into law that have been signed by a president somewhere over the generations to make them more effective and more available when we need a hand up. Because I'm not hearing you all argue for a continuous handout. You just need a hand up when times are bad. And there are countless Americans. That's what makes us great as America, that we can all get together regardless of party, regardless of politics and theatrics, and that we can help each other up. That's what makes us special, wouldn't you agree? That's what makes us special. But you don't know about those programs because we don't think that's enough. One of the biggest battles we fight in America today up here is who is going to be better for you, your community or the federal government here in Washington, D.C. I will tell you, I've only been in politics 3 years of my life, and the big fight is what our founders always were scared of, is that Washington, D.C. becomes so powerful that you had to come up here to ask us for help. That's not the way it's supposed to be. We should help you. And the best place to make that happen is in your communities, your faith-based organizations, your businesses. I had 2 ladies I talked to this. I was in a roundtable this morning with small business leaders from around the country, and they talked about how difficult it was to get people. I was in a meeting this morning with the CEO of the largest retailer in the United States of America, and it's exactly what I said on the interview last Friday. The people I talked to in my district in Oklahoma, they say 8.5% inflation. Are you kidding me? It's much higher than that. The largest retailer in the United States of America told me this morning of the goods that we buy, energy, gasoline, and food, our actual inflation for those making $50,000 a year and less is 15 to 21%. That's what you're feeling. You have no money left over to do anything. You're working extra jobs just to pay for the inflation. It's just a fact. It's not political. It's just what it is. Now, we can argue, did it start just in February when the Ukrainian war, or has it been going on with bad policy? That's another hearing. Ms. Yu, you talked about the troubled kids that got on the bus. One of the things that changed my direction in life was I was one of those kids that was identified as a troubled kid. I learned how to get a drafting degree because I knew I had to be different than my family and get educated. I'm the only one of 5 kids that got a high school diploma. And I went on to get an engineering degree and an MBA. But the point being is I'm here to solve problems. I don't have time for the politics. And again, there are 30 programs in America today that would help you all if we would just step back and work together to get those programs directed to you instead of trying to sit up here and fight on something the Democrats could pass on their own. They have the majority of the House of Representatives. They don't need this committee or us as Republicans. This is theatrics. We got to stop it. I yield back.
Thank the gentleman.